All right, welcome back. Time now to talk football from Europe's Premier Club competition. The round of 16 stage of the UEFA Champions League has a number of blockbuster pairings, and we witnessed a few in the first leg action today. Among them, city rivals Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, who locked horns at the Santiago Bernabeu. Let's see how that unfolded.
Away they go. Real Madrid get the action started. A team that has been struggling by their immense standards in La Liga of late. They're down to third, having won one of their last 5 games. Sides met as recently as the 8th of February. On this stage, it finished 1-1. Well, here's Rodrigo getting in behind Javi Galán and a shooting chance. Oh, it's brilliant! Rodrigo with an early strike for Real Madrid.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant, isn't it, from Rodrigo? The ball, you can see straight away, knows exactly where he wants it. It's a fantastic ball in between the fullback and the centre-back. When he gets himself into the area, he's just got one thought: can I get across my man? Gets across him onto that left foot, and then it's just a lovely curling effort into that far corner. What a start for Real Madrid.
There is so much to admire about that goal. An extra surge of adrenaline, even for the Real Madrid players who are used to performing here. And here goes Vinicius Junior. Oh! Jimenez blocks it, didn't know where it was going. De Paul held off the challenge of Vinicius Junior. Here's Alvarez, strong running. Looking for that early ball for Samuel Lino, and Valverde was the cover. Valverde playing it right back again. Of course, Real Madrid lost many weeks ago Dani Carvajal for the rest of the season. It's been Lucas Vazquez in the right-back position, filling in for a long time, but then the job fell to Fede Valverde. Here's Giuliano Simeone, and he's done really well here. He was looking for Lino, it was cleared by Valverde. Alvarez teeing up Barrios, teed up too high. Galán down the side for Julian Alvarez. Alvarez trying to curl it in. Oh, yes! My goodness! You won't see better.
That moment of brilliance, that little moment of magic, that's exactly what he's got. Just gets himself into a position out of his feet. What a strike that is. You can just see him look up, sees where the goalkeeper is, and just hits it across him right into that far corner. This is fantastic from Alvarez, player so in form at the moment.
Well, that's a study in perfection. Vinicius Junior. Here's Brahim Diaz. Diaz has shuffled his way through and found a way through to restore Real Madrid's lead.
Atleti are in good position, there's a couple of players around him, but it's just lovely quick feet. Gets himself onto his right foot, and that's just exactly where you want to go. He sort of looks like he rolls his ankle slightly, but as he cuts in, it's the only place that he can hit it into that far corner. But
how much ambition are Simeone's side going to show? Maybe too much, giving the ball away. Here's Mbappe. Mbappe to Vinicius Junior, and back in the nick of time was Llorente. Mbappe again, Modric! Straight at Oblak. Whistles all around, but the full-time whistle won't go until that clock reaches 3 minutes, and Real Madrid might have 3 goals by then. It's Vinicius Junior. And the shot is smothered by Jose Jimenez. Corner. I'm not sure there'll be time for it. And this really is it. A whistle for a free kick, not full time. I have a feeling once it is kicked, it will be full time. Could have been 3-1. Really good slide intervention from Jimenez. And that's it. The first leg ends with a 2-1 lead for Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid against Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid.
All right, Carlo Ancelotti leaving this match the happier of the two coaches, but remember they still have that second leg. Well, let's take a look now at the full results from today. Aston Villa getting the better of Club Brugge, a 3-1 win, and one of the goals came from Jamaica's very own Leon Bailey. Real Madrid 2-1, as we just showed you that highlights to defeat Atletico Madrid. And Arsenal, 7 goals for Arsenal in that win against PSV, and a 1-0 draw between Dortmund and Lille. Well, it's about that time where we welcome our football correspondent, Wanji Arango, for the recap. Juan, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing good. How you doing? How's everything over there?
I'm doing good. Happy also Lance is back on the show. You're here to chat with me. So a lot to talk about, Juan. So let's start with the first matchup. We just saw the highlights. Real Madrid getting the better of Atletico Madrid. But let's just say it's not over yet.
It's not, and you didn't see either team really play at their best level. You saw a Real Madrid that you didn't see everyone playing 100%. Vinicius and Mbappe were probably the two most guilty parties of that because of the defensive effort or lack thereof that they had throughout. That's number one. Number two, an Atletico Madrid that seemed maybe at times a little too respectful of Real Madrid. And so much so that they would look so conservative. And in some players and in some positions, Atletico Madrid, when they become that conservative, they become a liability. Today, it was none other than Javi Galán who ends up being the victim. And he ends up being the villain of the match for Atletico Madrid, honestly, because he's the one that ends up getting broken down in that first goal by Rodrigo, commits a lot of mistakes, and leaves the defense very susceptible to attacks.
Yeah, and for me, a bit shocked, one, that Atletico Madrid played like this because, coming into the matchup, one of the things we would have said is that if it's one team to get the better of Real Madrid, would have been Atletico Madrid. And we're talking about how they played in La Liga this season so far, how they went about. But their usual goal scorer, Julian Alvarez, was up to the task. He got the equalizer for the team, but it still was not good enough to get all 3 points.
No, it wasn't. And again, it's that mystique that Real Madrid have in Champions League, because if you start analyzing the goal from Brahim Diaz,
yes, we want to.
Normally you would have said that ends up being a situation that was covered, that it was solved. It ends up being a little shimmy that's done by Brahim Diaz. Jose Maria Jimenez ends up stumbling, and then that creates a space for the goal. So if you start looking at it, obviously there was a lot of good triangulation and movement there, but you see what ends up happening. Jimenez just loses his balance, and it gives him just enough space to be able to send that ball in.
Yeah, but let's also add to that the sort of game that Brahim Diaz had today, because some really, really top stuff from him, Wanji.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And he was one of those key players. Keep in mind, he's replacing Jude Bellingham, so he had a pretty tall task, and a tall task he was able to fulfill, that's for sure. And again, let's give credit where credit's due also. Brahim Diaz maybe not always going to be considered a starter, but whenever he comes in, he contributes, whether if it's more of a collective effort, whether if it's more helping out defensively, whether obviously it's scoring, but he's able to do it every single time that he gets a chance. So that is another little facet, another little caveat for a Real Madrid side that's struggling, or not struggling, but striving to get a 16th Champions League.
Yeah, and most of the match reviews I saw suggested that Brahim Diaz was the man of the match, Juan. But one of the intriguing aspects about the game today for me was how good all 3 goals were. I guess the Julian Alvarez goal may, in some people's books, be the best goal on the night, but the Rodrigo strike was pretty special as well. We saw 3 absolutely fantastic goals.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, the third one probably would be third, but still, I mean, that's not a bad third place to have if you consider all of the things that all the other goals had to, all the things that were in consideration for those goals to be able to come to fruition. So, I mean, overall, it's a match that you expected that Real Madrid could win. I mean, it could have gone either way, to be quite honest. But towards the end, you saw more of a Madrid saying, okay, fine, we got this. If we have another chance, we'll go for it. And Atleti trying to minimize their losses. A team that's, okay, fine, let's not do too much. If we too find the opportunity, let's go for it. But 2-1 going back home isn't a terrible result. we'll see how terrible or how positive it is at the end of the day. That's still the thing to be seen.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that because Mariah did suggest earlier on that the tie is still alive, obviously. How disappointed would Simeone be by the result? I heard a European reporter a couple of weeks ago describing Atletico Madrid as the kind of team that nobody wants to play. He said the people liken, or teams liken playing Atletico Madrid to going to the dentist. I'm not too sure exactly what that meant, but I get the picture.
No, you have good teeth. That's what it means. But in terms of that, but you're absolutely right. It's an Atletico Madrid team that it doesn't match up well with anyone. It's a team that continues to fight until the end, just as Barcelona and Copa del Rey last week. It's a team that can bother you. It's a team that can just end up being in a shell and locking down. It's a very tough team to be able to surpass. So if you end up doing so, it puts you in a good situation. And also, let's also add, Atletico Madrid right now are one of the best teams in Europe. So that also is another feather in their cap. But it's a team that we'll have to wait and see, because this is going to be the biggest test for them this season, to see how they turn around from this result.
Yeah, and you know, a team that will not be thinking about how they turn around from that result one will be Arsenal. Where has this Arsenal been in the league competition? They were so good today, firing. I mean, the results speak volumes. Arsenal unstoppable.
Arsenal unstoppable, and PSG just didn't know what to do. I mean, it was a combination of both. But there's one thing that I've been saying throughout the season: Arsenal go wherever Martin Odegaard takes them. And that ends up being one of the big keys for them this season, or lack thereof, because of the injuries that he suffered, because of the time off that he's had, and because of the injuries that Arsenal have had. When you don't have that player in the middle that's pulling the strings, it's a team that kind of flounders offensively. Defensively, it's always solid. But offensively, it's a team that tends to flounder. Well, not today, that's for sure.
Yeah, the second leg for them one will just be a formality based on what we saw today. But as usual, you know, we've been chatting with you a lot lately. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you again soon. We have more Champions League action coming up.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care, Juan. All right, well, we're up on a break, but before we go, here's a look at Wednesday's fixtures. What do we have in store on the channel? So, Feyenoord up against Inter Milan. Bayer Leverkusen will be playing Bayern Munich. Barcelona, yeah, the leaders of La Liga, they play Benfica. And Liverpool up against PSG. So remember, keep it locked. And if you haven't downloaded the SportsMax app just yet, you should do so now. Up on a break.